Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny is out. And while it has some significant structural problems, it is still entertaining. However, if you go to the film with lower expectations, I think you will be happier in the end. This review will cover the good, the bad, and the great while remaining spoiler-free. Be sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up if you like the review. So, the great. Harrison Ford is amazing. I'm sure that's no surprise to anyone. He is so talented and accomplished. He is an actor's actor, and he makes this film. The premise is that Indy is all alone and at the point of retirement with no family, no nearby friends, and no colleagues who really care about him or really seem to understand him. Then suddenly, his long lost goddaughter, who he doesn't recognize, appears, and incidents occur that kind of set them chasing after the Dial of Destiny, whether he wants to go or not. It's a good premise, and overall, the film was entertaining, but I left the theater feeling as if, something just didn't sit right with me. And the more I thought about it, like I didn't write this review right away because I really needed to sit on this and really think about what was bothering me with the film. And it really boils down to 4 big issues with the film, as well as some things that worked really well. And, I actually will address those, I think, a little bit at the end. I want to get to the 4 big issues first. So the first problem, the film felt a bit textbook. It felt as if someone with a clipboard went through the script ticking off check boxes. And that is really frustrating because fan service is a tricky thing. We want to see what we want to see, but it taps into that sincere desire for the familiar when we come to these films. But it can also feel so easily forced and inauthentic when not done right. This led to an ending that was too nostalgic and sweet without enough story connections to fully support it. Second, the ending. It didn't fit with the rest of the film. Granted, the end was pretty much what I expected before going in to see the movie, but the storyline that we got in the movie really didn't support the ending that got delivered. That doesn't make it a terrible film. It just means that the ending was unsatisfying, even if it met my expectations, which is why I think so many early reviewers have been upset. A good ending completes the trajectory of the story to its natural and inevitable conclusion. Third, there was a lot of CGI and de-aging. Some people are sensitive to the amount of tech in a film and how realistic it looks, and I totally get that. I didn't think it was that bad, though. But is that the standard that an iconic franchise should aim for when putting a film together? I don't know. I'll leave that to you to answer. But for me, it worked well enough that it didn't impact my enjoyment of the film, despite a few really squishy moments when young Indy's face was a little too smooth and the backdrop looked a little too much like a green screen wall. Otherwise. Anyways, fourth, and most importantly, the film robs Indiana Jones of his agency. They set him up as an old, cranky man in a lovely and realistic way that Harrison Ford really pulls off, who feels absolutely disconnected from the world around him. And then they rob him of his agency by making a life-altering choice for him. This kind of gets into ageism in a kind of weird way that I don't think I'm ready to talk about in this review, but this is the biggest reason why the ending of the film felt so unnatural and unearned. This could have also been solved in a single line of text to Helena. Let's go home. The meaning behind those words would have connected so many storylines and emotions, and it would have kept Indiana fully in control of himself, and it would have preserved his agency as one of our iconic heroes of the time. And the other stuff would have just kind of slotted into place. And I think overall, those three words would have elevated the film tremendously. Anyway, here's the thing. You can sell an audience on pretty much anything if you earn it in the storytelling, which is basically connecting the characters' experiences and needs to the conflict and choices that they make when a storyline is built incrementally, which Dial of Destiny actually does pretty well. There is an intrinsic promise made to the viewer about what kind of ending is possible in the story spectrum. The closer you get to the end, the narrower those possibilities become. The result is that even if the audience won't really like the ending, they can't imagine any other ending because this one felt right and inevitable. And that's how the story was told. That didn't happen with Dial of Destiny. There are some things that Dial of Destiny does really well. For one, it does a really good job of building old Indy's character arc. It opens with a strong setup with a vibrant young Indiana Jones, saving friends, preserving history, and taking out the Nazis. We then leap forward in time to current Indy, who is old and lonely, and he is very sad. It's a stark contrast to the expectations, which make us want to know, how did Indy get here? What led him to this point? There are some honest and endearing moments that nail the character of old Indiana Jones, showing how time and life have worn away his youthful edges, leaving him feeling like one of his out-of-date historical relics. His time has passed. It really resonates because this is something that a lot of retirees feel as they try to figure out their own relevance, as time just seems to keep passing them by, leaving them to feel like they no longer fit into the world around them. That is a compelling story. That younger, vibrant self isn't gone. It's just buried beneath the layers of dust and memory and time. Indy has suffered some significant losses that are shared in occasional one-liners that deserve more screen time because they are the building blocks that created this bitter, lonely man. He is not our Indiana Jones, and he knows it, and we know it. The story of Dial of Destiny is really the story of how he regains that part of himself that has been lost to time. So we get his goddaughter, Helena, coming back into his life. She is the catalyst that starts the process of kind of waking him up. However, the film buries important details about their relationship in the action scenes. And I can't say more without spoilers, but the gist of that is that he's embarrassed and regretful of his actions, and she's angry with him at the choices that he has made. The film never really confronts when or why Indy essentially abandoned her, but we can assume that it was because of his own life was spinning out of control. This isn't the kind of thing an audience should be left to work out on their own. We need to see why these things happen. We need to see them talk it out beyond the stray one-liners that they shout at each other during fight or chase scenes. These two characters are so much alike that it feels like the film was trying to portray Helena as a younger female version of Indiana Jones. Cue the studio's desire for a fresh face for the future of the franchise. But it doesn't work so well because the film doesn't really give them time to bond and connect. And I gotta say, it kind of feels obvious that the role of Helena was originally written as Indy's son, which then got scrapped since Shia LaBeouf made himself kind of a persona non grata within the franchise. So instead, we get his young goddaughter swooping into his life, stirring up emotions and trouble. As the action increases, old Indy starts to kind of wake up. We see the fire return to his eyes as he gets closer and closer to being the vibrant, older version of the man we saw in the opening scenes. Instead of saving the dial of destiny and history, which he kind of does, but instead of that being the purpose of his actions, he is saving Helena, and he is saving himself along the way. That does work, but I would have loved a little more personal connection between the two of them to really solidify that relationship. All of this built toward the ending that Indy wanted, the ending in which he basically said, this is what I want to do. And while I was watching the film, I felt like equal parts sad and happy that this moment was here and that this was his choice, because it felt right for him given the trajectory of his life and his circumstances, and frankly, the story that was told on screen. Then we get a left hook that sends the ending into a completely different direction that doesn't feel natural or organic to everything that we've seen so far. The thing is, if this was any other film, any other actor, I think I would have been able to handle that a little better. It would have fared better in the reviews because the movie isn't bad. It's just that the bar is especially high for the Indiana Jones franchise. And you can't pull cheap tricks with a fan base that knows a character this well. Most of us have known Indiana Jones for our entire lives. Taking shortcuts and left turns with the story, it just doesn't work. I mean, it's clever and it's cute, but it doesn't work. So yeah, I'm disappointed. I can see where these negative reviews came from. However, I think the movie is still worth watching and I enjoyed most of it. However, it's not the kind of send-off that I wanted for Harrison Ford. And it's not what he deserved. It's not what the audience deserved. And if they come out with a new film in the future, they are going to have to do a lot of work to reestablish credibility of the franchise, because they made a few story choices that pretty much killed all future possibilities for the Indiana Jones franchise to continue. But that's a problem for the future and a problem for somebody else to solve. All right, guys, that's what I have for you today. If you like this review, please give me a thumbs up and be sure to hit subscribe to get more videos from me. Have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Thanks a lot. Bye, guys.